Hello, this is Danny with Inspiration Software Design, and we're going to take a look at Simple Resource Calendar for FileMaker. This is an unlocked FileMaker solution that allows you to schedule resources. It's relatively simple to use and integrate with your existing systems. So right now we're looking at the daily calendar resource view. This is showing us all the events that are scheduled on this day, broken down by resource. These resources can be human resources, they can be rooms, they can be equipment, they can be whatever you enter into the system. And these resources can be filtered by clicking the checkboxes on the left here. Let's say we only want to see Danny and room A. If we uncheck everything, it shows everything. So to view the details of an appointment, we can just click on it and that'll bring it up in a card window. We can also option click or alt click and it'll come up in a separate window. In the appointment details, we're going to see all the details that we can modify in here, the appointment type, the start and stop time, the date, the human resource. This is based on accounts. We'll take a look at how to set this up later, and then also our other resources. We can also link it to a contact within our contact table. Down here, we've got some appointment notes. We've also got files. We can actually just drag and drop a file on here to add it. I just take a file from my desktop and I drop it here. It's going to create a record and it's going to attach this file to the appointment. We also have a log here that basically shows changes that were made, and then we can see other appointments that this contact has in here. To create a new appointment, we can just double click on the calendar and that'll ask us if we want to create a new event. We can click OK and it will bring up our detail window again. Let's say we want room B and we're going to meet with somebody in our contacts, let's say Jane Doe. And we close that and we'll see it on the calendar. We can also copy and paste existing events. So let's say we want to have the same event on a different day. So I click on the event, I click this little button down here, that's our copy button. And then we can go to, let's say, some other date. And whatever we click on here, let's say we want it under Danny. We click there and then we can just click paste. And it's going to paste those same details, but it's going to use this date where we clicked on it and Danny as the resource. And then it remembers that it also had room B as a resource. So now that is here. When we hover over an appointment for a second, it will show us all of the details that are there. The details that are shown in the calendar are customizable, and we'll take a look at the settings in a bit. Of course, you can see on the left we have a mini calendar, so we can jump to any date. We can jump to today is shown in blue. And then the weekly view is broken down by week instead of by resource. We can click and drag to move appointments. We can also click and drag to change the duration of an appointment. And as you can see up here, we do have support for all-day events. So these are basically just events that don't have times associated with them. And also multi-day events. So this one is going from 12:15 to 12:17, and it's going to cover all three of those days on the calendar. And if a timed event spans multiple days, it will show up on every day. So this event here goes from 12:15, 7 p.m. until 9 a.m. the following day. So if we scroll up, we'll see that it is coming up here. It'll be one heck of a meeting. And if we click and drag it, it will behave as expected. In the monthly view, we can see all of the appointments for the month. This would include all resources. Again, we can filter on the side. So if we only want to see Danny's schedule this month, we can click there. And here we can also click and drag from day to day. And we can also click on appointments to see details the same way that we can in the other views. So let's take a quick look at the preferences. So if we click this little gear up in the top right corner, which only admin users will see, we'll get this card with the calendar preferences in it. There are three calculations that we can define in here. First is a status calculation. This is basically going to determine the styling of the appointments on the calendar. I have a calculation here that is just using the appointment type, and also if there are any flags, then it will add those to the status as well. So then underneath that, we've got the status colors portal. We can add records by clicking the plus here. And this is basically saying that if the status from that calculation is appointment, then this is the color we're going to use. This is an RGB value. This actually represents blue, and then the text color is black. The summary calculation is the calculation that appears on the calendar at the top. And then the details calculation is what shows down near the bottom. So if you can see where my mouse is, basically the supplemental information. So both of these will appear on the calendar. The default start time, when you first open the calendar, it's going to start at 7 a.m., but we can change it to any other time. The default duration is that when we create a new appointment by double clicking, by default, that appointment will be 30 minutes long. So we can set that to any one of these numbers. This database is unlocked, so you can edit these value lists if you want to add some more possible values there. And then the default cal layout, this tells it where to go when it first opens the program and when we click the calendar button in the navigation. And then these are the users. Users will appear in this list as it shows down here. Users will appear in this list after they first log in. With this system, we're going to be using the built-in managed security for FileMaker. We define our users here. The first time they log in, they show up in that users list. And then from there, we can determine whether or not that user is a calendar resource. So these are all checked as calendar resources. That's why they show up over here. Those are all the easily customizable features for this system. We also have contacts in this database. So this is where you can put your customers, your vendors, or other people who you might set up appointments with. If you have an existing contact database, you can link this to that, or you can integrate this whole system into your system. It's a simple contacts system setup. We've got our contact information. You can throw in a picture there. We've got all of their appointments are here. And if we click on here, it'll actually bring up their little appointment window. We can click here to go to the calendar and see it there. And then we also have some duplicate management, some real basic duplicate management here. So you can see we've got 2 John Does. So if we go here, we can see John Doe is listed as a duplicate. If we do that, we can merge these records to pull over whatever data we want to by clicking these buttons. And then if we click merge, it's going to merge any appointments that they have and then delete the other record. And then we also have some basic search functionality here too. So we can search by the contact type. So we've got customers here, we've got vendors. Now it's only showing customers. We can clear that. We can hide inactive. These are all active, so it's not going to hide any. And then we also have a search field here, which is basically using FileMaker's built-in quick search, but it's doing it on the fly. So I can start typing here and it's going to, they all have a doe in them, and it's going to actually update as I go. So I type that and they all go away. Real simple, real clean, easy to use. So that's the main functionality of this program. I want to take a quick look at the back end with you just so that you can get a sense of what it would be like to integrate this into an existing system or to make some changes. Of course, as I had mentioned, this is going to be an unlocked database, so you will have access to make changes to all of the scripts or add your own scripts. If you want to integrate this with an existing database, you will want to make sure that you pull the startup script or at least have it called by your existing system. The calendar itself is actually a web viewer, as is the mini calendar. This is built by a script. So we do have a script that refreshes the web calendar. This is probably something you would never need to edit, but if you do, here it is in this script. The reason this is done through a script and not directly here is just because it performs better that way. That way when you're resizing the window, FileMaker is not going to try to refresh and refetch all of that data every time you resize or scroll or anything like that. So let's take a quick look at the database structure so that you can kind of get a sense of what it would be like to integrate this system. We do have 8 tables in total. 2 of them are single record tables that are just used for storing global information, preferences, and interface graphics and things like that. So there's really 6 data tables. We've got our user table. We've got a status table, which is the color preferences, essentially. And then we've got the contacts that we already looked at. The calendar itself really, it just has these appointment slots and appointment audit, which is basically an audit trail of changes that are made to the appointment. We have a file table, which holds attachments. And then here's the relationship graph. Relatively simple. We've got our little global toggle here, which is just basically our session data. We've got our appointment slot here and things that are related to the appointment. And then we've got the contact information here and then a couple of relationships for duplication management. So it should be relatively easy to copy these tables and these relationships to an existing database. Calendar does come bundled with integration instructions. This is just a PDF that gives you step-by-step instructions on how to merge this database into your existing database, if you would prefer to do that rather than you running it as a separate file. And it does basically give you an overall picture of best practices on how to merge FileMaker files, and then it gets into the details of this particular database and the steps required in order to integrate it. And that is the simple resource calendar. I hope you find it useful. Thanks for watching.